Your official voice of youth and high school sports. I am Chad Ricardo. This is 30 for 30, interviewing 30 of the top names in the game over the span of the next 30 days. I got with me today a very special guest, my main man, head coach of Gonzaga, Coach Randy Trivers. Coach, thank you very much for joining me today.
Well, Chad, I appreciate you having me on, and looking forward to having a very productive and entertaining chat with you as far as that introduction right there, and that enthusiasm, man. It gets no better than that. I don't know if we're getting ready for a WWE championship match or a big heavyweight boxing title fight or a football game. I don't know, but man, I love the enthusiasm and the energy to start it up.
Listen, Coach, whenever I've got a championship-winning coach that steps in the building, we got to give you the love and proper admiration that the people want to see.
All right, man. Well, I'm with it. I hope this segment can be championship caliber that you're looking for. So glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Let's get right on into it, brother. Listen, there is no shock to anyone. Of course, the coronavirus pandemic has run the entire country, the entire world amok. There are a few that have been more affected by it than the high school sports, especially here in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area. A couple of months ago, it was announced that the WCAC would be postponing their season, as did the rest of Maryland, Virginia, and D.C. as well. For you all, this Gonzaga program specifically, because, Coach, I've been to your practice. You run it with more precision than anyone else in the region, if any other high school. What adjustments, because I can't imagine, what adjustments have you had to make from a programming perspective? What adjustments for helping your recruits get eyes on them?
That's a heck of a question that you can answer in a number of different ways when you say the amount of adjustments. But if you think about it as far as in the context of football, so as a leader of a football program, you oftentimes lay out plans. Okay, those plans may have to do with organizational program things, the infrastructure of your program over the long haul. So perhaps plans that you're talking about, a 12-month calendar, 6-month calendar, 3-month calendar, perhaps your typical week during certain times or a typical day during certain times of the year. So you lay these things out to try to get into some semblance of a routine, to have organization, to have as many knowns as you can, control some of the unknowns and really get into somewhat of a rhythm. Obviously, COVID-19 and all of the things that come with it sort of knock us out of that rhythm. So when you talk about adjustments, you got to make adjustments. So if we're talking about a football game and you have 4 quarters of a game, well, those 4 quarters are oftentimes played out in one's mind, sometimes not only days in advance, but weeks in advance, months in advance, as you're preparing for a particular part of the season, a particular opponent perhaps. But then when the game starts, kickoff happens, really strong football programs have a way of being able to adjust. Again, to utilize your words. So it's very important that even when you have a plan and you lay it out, that it may not go exactly the way you thought that it would. And I love it when it does. Coach a lot of football games in my career, and sometimes, man, the plan goes just as you prepared for it to go, offensively, defensively, special teams, all of that. And then sometimes it does not go nearly the way that you expected it to go. So for us, it's one of those things where I think it's important to maintain a certain demeanor and attitude. Certainly that, hey, these are circumstances that we don't expect. And so how do we deal with these circumstances? So we have certain program values and pillars that we stand on. Something that we call T3, which is a combination of 3 big T's. All right. So we talk about the idea of being, having toughness, togetherness, and trust. All right. So we put ourselves through tough situations knowing that toughness is a test for togetherness. Or it's easy to be together. It's easy to be, hey, we're going to be buddies. We're going to be friends. We're going to be a family. It's all good when the music's playing, the sun is shining, and everybody's smiling and laughing. But when the clouds come in and the music stops and things aren't so good, then where's your togetherness? So we try to prepare as best we can for tough times, and doing as many things as we can together. And I believe sticking together, having continuity and cohesion and unity is critical. And then the idea of trust, okay? Because in a football game, when things don't go your way, as I was saying, there has to be an ability to stay tough, stay together, but really trust what the plan is, trust what the leadership is, trust your teammate, trust your friend, trust your brother, trust in those that are with you, because you don't do this alone. Whether it's football, whether it's life, it's something that I think takes those things. So very, when this hit us, um, difficult and I know it's been difficult for everybody. So the thing that's tricky is we're used to flowing in a space where we're together. So the idea of that togetherness piece, how do you recreate the togetherness when you are not literally in the same physical space? So being innovative, being trying to think about, okay, how can we do this? So my original communication to our program was titled and themed, staying together while apart, staying together while apart, so, the first letter that I sent out to our culture, our families, our football team, and, gathering our staff virtually and getting them to understand this is as best we can, huddling up and saying, okay, this is the challenge that we're under right now. We don't know exactly how long we're going to be in this fog, but what we do know is that if we don't, stay together, and that will be difficult. So all of the different anxieties and fears and challenges that one may have individually, or in groups. So again, going back to like a football game and thinking about, okay, we had this game plan to come out, and first down didn't go well, second down didn't go well, third, and all of a sudden you're punting. It's a 3 and out. You come to the sideline, and let's say that happens again. That happens, it gets had 2 or 3 times. That's a test of one's toughness to stay together and trust. We have this other deal that many people see, this NEF on our shirts and on our hats and on our the NEF, and that's now, embrace, finish. So the thought of understanding that we can't do anything about yesterday, as frustrating as it may be, or as to think of a couple of things, to think of, man, how nice it used to be to be able to walk into a store and not think about anything. How nice it used to be able to walk up to my friend or family member and give them a big hug and kiss. But now it's different. How nice it used to be to grab something to eat somewhere. All of these, go to school, practice with your team. All of those things that are jeopardized, you can't really do anything. And then thinking about the future. Well, when will we be able to do that? So it's very easy to slip into that mode of thinking. How nice it was, how nice it will be. But what can you do now? So it's the idea of, if you fumbled last play, or if they scored, or you missed a block, or you scored, you made a great tackle, it's still, what do you do now? You can't really be thinking too much about the future, but everything that happens now is going to impact the future. So we're big believers on trying to focus as best we can, and we're human. So it's not that anybody's perfect at this. Certainly I'm not, but trying to be a now person is what creates the right memories, and it allows you to achieve the right goals. Embrace, we talk about this relative to togetherness. So circumstances outside of us are beyond our control. Right now, COVID-19, we can't control a lot of this, and that's hard. For myself as a leader, thinking about how, you know, I'm always trying to, as best I can, um, take away unknowns so that we have the least amount of unknowns within how we function as a football program. So if we can get into a routine to do this, or know this about an opponent, or to be able to know this about steps that we need to take to help ourselves for the future, that's a good thing. But with this COVID fog, cloud, storm, whatever you want to call it, it takes away a lot of that ability to know when we'll be able to do this, how we can do that, when we can, so very, very difficult. But we always talk about embracing the notion of adversity, so don't let the fear dominate. Don't let the anxiety, don't let the negativity dominate, which it can, it very well can. And one of the things that's tough, again, from a football standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, is you don't know all of the things that are going on in someone's home. You don't know what's going on in someone's walk, like you maybe I normally would, or have a better feel for if I were in person and engaging the young men every day as normal. So for me, I have a unique space, platform, I should say, if you will, as a coach, in that I'm a member of our faculty at Gonzaga. I'm also the head football coach, and I'm blessed to have a situation where I can be on campus with our guys, pretty much 12 months a year, 24/7. And it's in having that ability to engage our players and see them, and help to develop and cultivate them in certain ways, it allows me to really listen and read them. So with this, it's harder to help and to assist when you don't have the everyday opportunity to interact, the one-on-one, face-to-face opportunity to interact. Of course, we've been as innovative as we possibly can with things such as Zoom and Google Meet and anything virtually we do. And then the idea of finish, Chad, is just the idea of there are a lot of people that out here in the world that can be smarter than you and I. They could be more talented. They could be better at this, better at that. They could be stronger, faster. All the things that God blesses us with. Um, um, but there doesn't have to be anyone that works harder. There doesn't have to be anyone that is more determined. There doesn't have to be anyone that gives better effort. So we talk about the way that we finish. So it's these things that we try to build in our players within the program are things that are impactful, not only on the field as far as trying to have success within the context of a football game, but they're impactful as far as trying to be a better person and trying to be really good at whatever it is you're doing, whether it's impacting your family, your community, your school, your job, your church, your friendships, whatever it might be. So that's what we are. So it's been tremendously challenging, but I would say that, we have adjusted well. I think Gonzaga as a school did a nice job originally back in the spring. I think I had I think it was Thursday the 12th, Friday the 13th of May, or excuse me, of March, Friday the 13th of March, because it was Thursday was the last day we had classes. Friday was a professional day, already a scheduled professional day for us. So the faculty was on campus. I missed the professional day in the morning because I had knee surgery that morning, and I was going to try to fight to get in. My wife didn't let me come in after the knee surgery that day. But then I remember getting the message saying that don't come back to school next Monday. You got to stay home. And so we've pretty much been home since. So we gather as a staff and figure out virtually, okay, what's our next move? How can we best support our young men support each other as a football program and a football culture through however long we're in this. And of course, you don't know how long you're going to be in it at that time. Some folks, maybe it's a couple weeks, maybe it's a, month or two. But the more you learned about it, the more you said, man, we could be in this thing for a while. This could be a minute. So, we quickly developed a familiarity with certain aspects of technology. And we tested and worked as a staff on certain things to, created certain thoughts and ideas of how to organize things. So we've had, I think it's approximately 70 virtual opportunities from the time of COVID stay home till now, working with our student athletes. Those opportunities have ranged in terms of the different types of things we try to foster and cultivate. So those things could be football specific relative to offense, defense, special teams, and incorporate video and quote unquote chalk talk and different things of that nature. Those things could be competitive things that we may do relative to different tests and quizzes, of the mind, as far as football goes, sometimes with different presentations, whether they're coaches, they're players, they're alumni. I mean, we do a lot of different things with this. We certainly, even get our strong man on there on the deal, where we do, some different virtual physical work that requires nothing but space and a surface and your body. All right. And we get it cooking with that, so there's a lot of things that we've just tried to be as best we can to recreate a sense of togetherness. If I know that I'm working alongside a fellow coach, fellow teammate, my coaches, my players, and we're doing this, and we're doing it together, and it's purposeful and it's meaningful and it's valuable, that helps create what we always try to create, a sense of trust through toughness and being together. And then the whole Neff thing that I explained, we can't, and we have to coach myself on this too now, Chad. I mean, it's not easy for I am just as vulnerable as anybody when it comes to thinking about how much I'd love to be coaching and teaching and working with the guys in more of a in-person hands-on capacity. It's that's what my internal clock always works that way this time of year. I should be on the field with the guys. I should be in the classroom with the students. We should be having Friday nights or Saturday afternoons playing ball. I mean, we would have opened up yesterday. Is what would have been an opening game for us. We would have played up in Philadelphia, and and likely that game would have been a nationally televised game. And so that's a tough thing. I don't drink alcoholic beverages, Chad. But yesterday I had a lemonade. I had a glass of lemonade on ice, and then I had another glass of lemonade. I said, man, let me hit this lemonade hard right now, because right now we'd be a couple hours before kickoff, and I got to hit me a lemonade, and then I hit another lemonade on the rocks. So this is water right here. So, but yeah, I've got to coach myself up to hey, you know what, and really having faith, man, that all of this is at some point, the idea of having faith and belief. Any football game that you're playing, you might be getting your butt kicked in the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter. As long as there's time on the clock, you got a chance to win. You got to believe that. And you
all have proven that over the years. That's for darn sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I mean, that's where we've got to have that mentality as best I can. Keep that that attitude myself, that attitude within our coaching staff, our players, our parents, everybody that's involved with us, that hey, it's human to let the doubts sink in. Those things that, man, if I drop a pass, man, this next one, am I going to catch this next one? No, you gotta have faith that you're going to catch that next one. If I miss a block, miss a tackle, or fumble, whatever it is, you gotta, mental attitude, mental health is what so many people are talking about right now, in so many spaces, is paramount to not only our survival, how we thrive, how we live, so that's so a couple of things that we've had to adjust. I've had to adjust, and the hope is that we have enough strong leadership nationally and locally to where we can have enough semblance of togetherness that we're moving towards progress in certain areas. That's one of the issues, I think, is that some of the struggles with COVID, and there's just a lot of people doing different stuff.
Correct.
And sometimes it's from economic pressure. Sometimes it's because of political pressures. Sometimes it's just mental health. All these things. It's like the perfect storm for jacked up stuff.
I was going to say that, just kind of, you speak to the perfect storm that really truly is what it is that we're going through as a nation right now, because not only we have the COVID, but we also have the social unrest that's going on within this nation. You talked just now about your core values of the team, tough times and togetherness. Those are things that are being challenged amongst the United States, beginning months ago with Ahmaud Arbery, then moving on to Breonna Taylor, then moving on to George Floyd, and most recently here, a week ago, here today. Your team, your community at Gonzaga, I've been to all of the high schools in the region. You all have more of a cohesive unit than anyone else that I've been around. How challenging, if at all, has it been to maintain that togetherness when the world seems to be at odds with each other?
No, it's challenging. It's challenging for everybody, and being at Gonzaga Gonzaga is a special place, special environment, special culture, no doubt about it. Lot of really good-hearted, loving people that I think at the core that have good priorities as far as really trying to look out for their fellow man, if you will. So I think that's important. But yeah, Chad, it's been tough for the those that maybe are perceived as strong, or somewhere in the middle, or not as strong. It does, it's tough for everybody, and like I was alluding to before. But I think you're right. Perfect storm is certainly the word, or the phrase, I guess, for really what's happening in the world. And sometimes I think with adversity, comes progress. Certainly with you sort of need to get out of your comfort zone, to be able to move forward. So I'm not going to be able to increase the size of my bicep if I don't strain it, if I don't pick up that dumbbell and work. So I think a good way to kind of think about some of the stuff that's going on, whether it's the social unrest that you alluded to, whether it's all the things, the economic and political unrest, and the just the whole thing that makes this this stew of, man, this is one of the most unique times in the history of our world. I think maybe there's, if you really look at it hard, and look at it closely, and you stop to think about it, maybe this is what is necessary for us to have progress
Sure.
and real progress and to move forward. So, for instance, something like uh, racial equality, social justice, these things that are making prominent headlines right now. Uh, this is not new. This is not something that
No,
just all of a sudden just happened this week, this month, this year.
it's just that
Uh,
everybody has a cell phone now. That's
yeah,
so now it's seen.
yeah. It's right. It's certainly technology has a lot to do with how we're able to communicate. Of course, if imagine if we were in this pandemic 30 years ago, um, man, how wild would that be? Because there was, 30 years ago, internet and all the different social media streams that we have now to communicate, we wouldn't. But I think that, this is, it's truly an amazing situation that we are faced with right now. But as I was about to say, these issues, because perhaps of what's going on with COVID, um, people are actually listening more than they would be. You know what I mean? So the idea that there has been progress, if you say in some ways there have been progress. If you look at the African American experience in the United States or on this continent, in this land, for centuries, and you say, okay, there certainly has been progress. I don't think that's undeniable when you look at the first year to where we are now.
Right.
However, there are certain aspects that have been slow to progress, and so with that said, you think about why have things been so slow to progress. Perhaps maybe it's because people aren't really listening, or the right people aren't really truly listening, and so this is a unique time, because more so than I can, than I know in my time living on Earth, and certainly things that maybe you read and study, there are more people actually listening right now than ever than I can think, and that's why you see certain things. Okay, maybe perhaps people are listening, there are conversations, and then there are actions being taken that are meaningful. So, who knows, Chad? Maybe it's a couple years from now. Maybe it's, history will look back and we'll say, man, that was a jacked up time, that happened in 2020 and 2020 and however long it goes. But there in as much difficulty and suffering and pain that people experience, man, there was a seed planted for great progress.
So that's
Great progress.
the scorched earth theory there.
Yes.
Burn it all down, and the soil remains, and it grows something more beautiful. From that perspective, from the social unrest perspective, is this a conversation at all that you have to this point needed to have with your team? Let's look at the facts here. Gonzaga, one of the beautiful things about your team in particular, it's one of the most racially diverse teams in the WCAC, if not in the region. Is this a conversation that you've needed to have with them to this point? And if not, if you did, what would you say to your team?
Yeah, Chad. I mean, we first, to your point of, I feel blessed to have, a unique position as a coach and as an educator, to be able to and a member of our faculty. So to be a member of our English department, to be a football coach, is a meaningful profession, because you're always around young people, people that are you're helping to cultivate future leaders and people that are going to get out and impact society. So it's a meaningful and important space that I'm in. But to your point of the uniqueness of Gonzaga in the those two places that I'm in,
right.
as far as the football team, the makeup, it's a very well balanced ethnic makeup that we have within the team. And that's unique because even I talk to our players and my students times, and you really look at it. A lot of times people's churches don't look like that when they go to church. People's their jobs, their athletic teams.
Sure.
All right, so you think of different sports, and you go out on certain athletic surfaces, whether it's an indoor sport or an outdoor sport. A lot of times the team maybe doesn't look like that, or different teams or schools, like you said, Gonzaga. So I feel fortunate to be able to have that collection of people to where, okay, now we can have a meaningful conversation in here because you got, you look around, you say, okay, he looks like that, he looks like this, he looks like that, he looks like, and so it's really, it's valuable. I have that oftentimes in one of the courses I teach is African American Lit. So it's a valuable, oftentimes the makeup of that class will be very diverse. And then my football team, very, very diverse. And so we have had conversations as we try to, in our program, always look at the bigger picture in terms of this is what, we love now. I'm gonna tell you, Chad, I love ball, everything about it. The X and O's, the strategy, the fundamentals, the physicality, the competitive, love it. But I also understand and love really the idea that you can teach and implement in a way that this is it goes far beyond what happens inside the lines of a football game, the confines of the game. So there's no doubt there's a lot of things I do are intentional in terms of bigger picture. And so, we've had, and we got some sharp dudes at Gonzaga, so you have some guys that have brilliant minds and some guys that have some valuable things to share. And I think giving the guys a platform where they can feel comfortable to be able to express, hey, look, this is how I'm feeling, or this is how somebody like me might feel if they are in this situation, or this is what has happened to me, or, I don't understand this. Can you explain this to me? Or, I haven't walked in those shoes, but I can only imagine, so just having those type of conversations. And as a football coach or a leader of our program, just being able to recognize and realize that if we can have those type of conversations, then what we do on the field then becomes we have a better chance to be successful there as well. So it's both ways. What we teach in football can help us be successful in these different spaces in life, but then also understanding, okay, we gotta, let's pull back on this before we hit the pause button last Thursday. Yeah. in our meeting. We hit the pause button, and we had a couple of guys that reached out and talked to me. This was on my mind, on my heart, coach. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. I listened and thought about it. And I said, all right, we're going to open up our next virtual gathering like we normally do with a special little video. And then we'll go to prayer. And then I'm going to set the stage. We're scheduled to actually work out Okay, but I'm gonna set the stage. We're gonna just set the stage for a conversation. All right, we're gonna put a pause on getting strong physically. We're gonna put a pause on what everybody's expecting to do, and I'm gonna put it in your hands. But so basically, for us, Chad, at Gonzaga, it's neat. There's a um, um, grad type of philosophy, that is, Gonzaga man needs to be open to growth. Okay, open to growth. So that's perfect for this conversation of social unrest and racial justice. You can't have that conversation if you're not willing and open to growth. All right. So, I reminded the guys, I said, remember this, guys. All right. We got to be open to growth, being intellectually competent. All right. So if you're going to be intellectually competent, you got to gather information. You got to be open to growth. You got to be willing to listen. You got to be willing to read. You got to be willing to ask questions. You got to be willing to seek information and have the right heart as you're absorbing this information. You got to be a great listener with your eyes and your ears. So we talked about that. Being intellectually competent. Being religious, being loving, and being committed to doing justice. Okay, I mean that's within the Ignatian way, Jesuit education, being committed to doing justice. So being men of action, all right, and not words. I talk about our guys all the time about it's one thing to say that, coach, man, give me a chance. I can do this. Coach, let me, coach, I don't want to hear it. Be a man of action. That's nice that you can tell me what you want to do. You can tell your teammates, you can tell these people, but what I'm seeing in your actions are different. So be a person of action, and so committed to doing justice. So oftentimes with stuff, Chad, when you have, it's like the flavor of the month. It's the the fad, the phase, something that's hot, and people just jumping on the bandwagon, or people have certain motives, and when they're addressing certain things, whatever those things are. But the hope is like a conversation that's being had not only nationally, I think this is really globally. People are having this conversation. Whether it's you talk about social, racial issues of justice, Black Lives Matter. People are having this conversation. The hope is that it's not just a one-off, a phase. That it's something that sustains, and that's where talking to guys about being committed to doing justice. What's right. It's not political. It's not this is conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat or this. It's what is right. What's right, and having compassion for your fellow man, and being able to, as we say at Gonzaga, be a good man for others. So that's all the beauty of Gonzaga and the Jesuit education, and then it works very well with the philosophies and the beliefs of what our football program. They're in tandem. They're right there. Hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder. So it's a great foundational way to build our young men, and so our guys. So I just teed it up, and our dudes went for about an hour, and it was beautiful, to hear different guys share and talk. I just wanted to remind them that being open to growth and being intellectually competent and being loving and being religious and these things, and being committed to doing justice, so in talking, don't just talk, but talk and listen. Most importantly, listen, and listen with your eyes, listen with your ears, so that we can grow. So we've had, that was Thursday, but we've had, a few talks, whether it be in some of our breakout room sessions that we have, or in the big room together. And we'll continue to find ways to give guys an opportunity. I think young people have a lot to offer and have a lot to say. And I think it's important as a coach and a member of our faculty, and as a mentor for young folks, to provide them, opportunity, but in a way that, okay, like our guys, just, hey, you might believe this or think this or that or believe, but understand, going back to where we started with this, Chad. I mean, there's value in, when we talk about the world, we talk about the region, we talk about a school, we talk about a team, we talk about a family. There's nobody's walking alone, man. And so if we don't figure out how to really truly work with some type of cohesive unity, we will not progress. No. We will not progress with COVID-19. We will not progress with issues of justice and racial equity. We will not progress. So there needs to be an embracing of being able to listen, and to know, okay, hey, I affect you, you affect me, that person, we impact each other, and if we can find ways to best do that, we got a chance. You got a chance to win the football game. You know what I'm saying?
That is all right, Coach. Gonzaga men, open to growth. Coach, every time I talk to you, it's no surprise why you all are successful on the football field, and you help to raise men that are successful in life, brother. Thank you very much for taking a few moments with me here today.
I thank you for the opportunity. Always appreciate you and your support for the DMV, athletic world, and provide an opportunity for us to share and really help each other grow. So thank you, Chad. God bless you, man. And let's try to stay healthy through these challenging times.
We'll stay healthy and we'll stay together, Coach.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ricardo Report, bruh.